Welcome to Diversity Focus Today with your host, Ricky Solid Gold Clark.
And welcome to a brand new version, 2026 version of Diversity Focus Today. I am your co-host, Ricky Solid Gold Clark, along with Dr. T, who's on a bus right now,
Hello.
and our
Great
great
hands.
producer
Oops.
and engineer, Brian Wallace, who's doing his thing. Yeah, Tammy's on a bus. If you see buildings and trees and everything else behind her, that's because she's on a Greyhound bus coming back from Detroit,
Illinois,
coming back from Illinois.
Chicago. Hometown.
Her hometown. Okay, well,
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
Very, very, very good. I'm looking for a button here, but I'll find it in just a minute. Okay, so many things have gone on since our last program,
A
everybody, and
lot.
a lot. So I'm not sure where we start. Well, we'll just jump right in. Now, the
Okay.
latest thing, if you've seen on the news or on social media, the President of the United States, Mr. Okay, uh, and the Pope are having some
Mm.
concerns,
Leo.
issues. Pope Leo
Tokyo.
from Tammy's hometown of Chicago, Illinois, when Donald Trump made a statement that he wants to blow up and kill everybody in Iran. The Pope didn't, that was not very gospel like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ would not have wanted any of that.
Right.
So they're having some issues. And the Pope was cool. He said, look, I'm not a politician.
Right.
And I only
I'm here
answer to God Almighty,
right.
not
I'm here
any
about peace.
politician. Huh?
Peace. He said he's here for peace, not extra.
Yeah, for peace.
Mhm.
And then, Trump made some derogatory comments. And then this latest thing, which by this time, when you guys view this, you would have already seen, hopefully, he had somebody on his social media show him as what, an angel or Christ himself.
Jesus.
Huh?
Jesus.
Blasphemy. In other words, blasphemy, and if you haven't seen it, you need to see it because it's quite disturbing, I think. And so I can imagine, because in Catholics, that's the largest religious organization or group within the world, isn't it? Over billions and billions of Catholics. I can't, I'm a Christian and I'm offended by what I saw Donald Trump do. And so,
Well, when you have an ego that large, it doesn't
well, you know
matter.
what?
You could take over. Being president isn't enough. You have to take over the secular of the church and the mighty God.
The last time I was with an individual many years ago that thought he was said to himself and others around him, "Hey, I'm stronger. I'm better than God." He only lasted maybe a year, maybe a year and a half before a guy said, "Okay, I'm tired of this. Goodbye. See you. See Satan. Go see the devil." And I'm thinking, you know, look, I'm scared of God. Blasphemy is blasphemy. When I saw that, it's like my mouth dropped. I said, I can't believe he did that. But
Well, before that, he had himself just as a pope when the Francis passed away. You remember he had that image of him coming out dressed in the regalia of pope.
yeah, you're right. You're right. So
So why not? Right? He knows how to put out distractions and pictures of instant, response and reactions to things for people to be distracted, I think.
yeah. So yeah. So if you haven't seen it, when you view our program on Facebook and YouTube, then look for it because I'm sure social media. I was told, I think Dr. T, you told me they took it down. But I'm sure social media has it before it was taken
Mm-hmm.
down. You will see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying.
Or maybe we can slip in a clip, right? And put in a picture of it.
Yeah, maybe we can find it
Mm-hmm.
and put it up so folks. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So folks can actually see what he said and what the photograph, the AI generated or whomever did it. I even if I was an artist and he said, "I need you to put this up," I wouldn't do it. I'd be, nah, you might call me scared or a chicken. I ain't doing that. I am not dealing in your blasphemy. Okay. I ain't being a part of that. So,
Yeah, so that's the one top five. And then Menalia, what is it?
Melania, his
Yeah,
wife.
coming
Yeah.
out with Apology Out of the Blue. or not the apology, the I'm innocent.
I'm innocent. All these things that I don't know. I didn't met Epstein. Donald and I met him together at a party. We would and there's pictures of her kissing him and he kissing
Oh, that's
her.
AI. That is AI. That is not real.
Yeah, well, okay, well,
Okay, we got the negative. We were back in the 90s. We have negatives.
yeah. The folks with photographs said, "Wait a minute, I was there. I got
Mhm,
pictures of them doing that." You know,
mhm.
but and then supposedly the president did not know she was going to do that. But
Oh,
what
he
she
didn't know? I was
well
wondering that
that's what he's saying. Okay, you know how
he,
much he speaks with forked tongue. So
because I thought it was a distraction of the war, that the war was a distraction of the Epstein files.
well,
So because he
whatever.
was going down the toilet after a minute, then that came out.
Well,
And the
he's
lady, her best friend, is now like speaking out, the one that got deported, that was married to Trump's uh, council, one of his council members on the board or something in the White House. I'm like,
okay.
okay. Like they were all friends.
Uh-huh.
And then she was Brazilian and got deported by her ex-husband. So now it makes sense that she was coming out to talk against what all they were doing. Because people didn't
Okay.
realize, well, where did this come from? Well, she was like, y'all deported me. My 17-year-old son is there in the States. I'm about to tell it all. But she still haven't told it all. So I'm
Well,
like, what's going on here?
there's supposedly a book that's coming out that will that they are trying to get ahead of that
The
has
book, oh,
that's what I've been told. There's a book coming that's got photographs and emails and things of that nature. So we'll have to wait and see if that is in fact correct. And there may be because if you're the publisher, no, if you're the writer of this book, you like all this publicity because you're gonna sell millions and millions of books because they laid the groundwork.
mm-hmm,
Great promotion, great marketing effort,
mm-hmm. The
and you
whole
didn't have
press
to spend a
conference.
dime. Yeah, press
She
conference.
did promote her movie or her book. It's in my movie. I said everything I had to say in my movie.
That nobody's
I'm like,
seen. That Amazon paid
I
$40 million
haven't
for
even
her to
been.
do it.
Well, they saying that was fishy too, but I don't even seem of most interested. It's like I don't have no curious bone to know what her life was like
Yeah.
or
Well, I
how.
mean, at least they keep everything current and keep us with plenty of information to report back to our audience and our listeners so they'll know
Mm-hmm,
what's going on. So you
mm-hmm.
guys keep watching and listening to Diversity Focus today on the podcast and on the YouTube channel. Again,
Yeah,
we'll let you know what's going on in this
right.
country. Now,
And
moving
the
on,
third thing,
the third thing. Yeah,
the
well,
third thing is
okay.
the third term. You want the third term?
No, we ain't having that. He's gonna get impeached. I mean, he's doing like I've said this to anybody that will listen that the Republican Party is going to suffer the worst loss in their history coming up in the midterm elections. Hey, now y'all put that, you can write that down and in ink, not crayon and
Yeah.
not pencil. Write it down.
Engrave it in a stone, like the
And
Ten
Ricky said
Commandments, right?
that he's been saying it. He's been preaching it all along. So we'll
Mm,
wait and see. And speaking of which, don't forget this is the midterm election coming up in November, but the various states and cities have the primaries coming up. In our area here in Indianapolis, Indiana, the primaries is coming up on May
okay.
5th.
Hmm.
So if you haven't, well, I guess it's too late to register if you haven't registered, but you can register for the November election. You missed your
Hmm.
primary window, but you can still
Hmm.
vote and register for the November election. So that's the
Hmm.
most important. Primaries is just to determine who's going to be running in that particular office, and from a Democrat, Republican, or Independent. So
Hmm.
that's coming up on the 5th of May, which is just a few weeks away from right now. So we got that coming. The other thing I wanted to mention before I forget, here once again in Indianapolis, Indiana, we had an HBC school, Martin University, that this fall closed up because of funding, and it was just, it closed up. Well, Eastern Star Church, which is one of the biggest congregations, minority congregations here in the city of Indianapolis, Indiana, reached up and purchased the school and all its buildings and all the school's equipment and so on, what have you, for $3 million. So what folks was afraid of, that we would lose, that the minorities, Black folks would lose that university. But it has been saved. The buildings have. Now,
Yes.
we're not sure what the church is going to do. I'm sure they're going to be some form of educational component for that. But they bought the church, the property, all the equipment, and everything inside the church. And then we will find out soon at some point how they're going to do it. I figure there's going to be some form of educational component with that.
Good.
But
Good.
we just kind of have to wait and see and put our 2 cents worth in. And I'm certainly going to be making some recommendations. So, team, think of some ideas. So when I go to the church council and say, hey, I think this should be a part of what's going on at Martin University. So we'll at least have some input. And
When is that meeting, the next hearing or meeting?
I'll have to find out from the church attorney, Howard Stevens, and see when that's going to be. But I'll let you guys know, as well as the audience know, as to what will be happening in that situation. So, but that's for, most folks that follow that already know about that, because the announcement was made about 2-3 weeks ago when we voted on it. The congregation voted to go ahead and proceed with the purchase of the university.
Oh,
So
okay.
I just couldn't say anything until they made the announcement.
And
Okay.
I think this would be good to talk about what we have mentioned before about a Zoom in, like getting people's comments and stories and interests on our comments area. And we can reach out, and it
Exactly.
could be a guest on our show and even ask directly, maybe collaborate, special guests and guests
Well,
to
we're,
have
we're lining up.
conversations.
Yes, we're lining up a Zoom meeting, and they'll be on the program, both the lead pastor and the legacy pastor. The legacy
Mhm.
pastor is Reverend Jeffrey Johnson Sr., and our lead pastor is Reverend Jesse. What did I say? Jesse Jackson? Jesse Johnson. Not Jesse. Where am I at? Jeffrey Johnson Sr.
Yes.
and Jeffrey Johnson Jr., as well as the church attorney, Howard Stevenson. So we'll have them on the program. And
Mhm.
we'll be able to
Mhm.
ask questions. And you, the audience, I think we brought that up at our last meeting, can
Having a
go to the website.
comments.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
comments on
you left your
Facebook.
phone number to kind of bring in live conversations or ideas or comments. We could have a opportunity to read those or ask questions, respond to questions in our new format, because we have a little bit more flexibility and freedom, right, to do
Yeah,
and be
we
there
got
for our people,
so
representing our people. So what was your, I think you left your
the email.
email. What
Uh,
is your email that you want to send
okay,
that?
if you have questions or comments about anything, if you go to hip hop chatter at yahoo.com. Now that'll be HIPHOPCHATTER at yahoo.com. Hip hop chatter at Yahoo. And I'll repeat that again, because folks, when they say, when you're on the radio, when you're on any one of these type program, you went too fast. I didn't have a pen. I didn't have a pencil.
He
So
can put it across the screen as well.
yeah, well, ask me to do that. HIPHOPCHATTER at yahoo.com. That's hip hop chatter at yahoo.com. And they can go to the Facebook too, can't they, Tammy?
Yep, and I'll
And
just respond to
diversityfocus.com.
comments there. Yep, diversityfocus.com or
Can they go to
today.
YouTube as well?
Yep, this will be posted on YouTube. They hopefully
Okay.
probably watching the original link here, and then we'll
Okay.
make a copy on Facebook. So that'll be 2 copy links. So our
Okay.
main channel is for YouTube, which we are now, the Diversity Focus Today with Ricky Clark.
Okay. Okay. Well, very good. Very good. So they know all this technology. Doc will research
Yes.
things. Her and Ryan will research things in a heartbeat. I'm the one that I'm still old school. I'm still trying to figure
Yeah.
out sometime,
Yeah.
hey, what's going on? So anyway, what was our
But
next
this is
topic?
exciting. I like that we have.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying this is exciting to have the opportunity to really meet and have our people up front and in this format. So I can't wait to read the comments and reply and post comments and be part of the real life discussion. We're we going to
Oh
be
yeah.
doing it weekly. We'll be on weekly
Yes.
or be available weekly. Our postings
Uh, well,
or every
that
other.
I guess that's a discussion we'll have to have with Brian and make
Okay.
sure in your schedule, because your schedule
Yeah.
and his
Being
schedule
on
are
trains,
a lot more
things, and
hectic than
automobiles.
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right. You never know where you guys get on my case. You don't know whether you're in this Indiana,
Where I'm going to
Indianapolis,
be
or
at.
Atlanta, or
Yeah.
Phoenix. Or where you at? Yeah, well, so but yeah, they'll just have to kind of tune in and check. And we're gonna try to do it, especially if the audience participates like I hope they will,
Right. That's what
then
I was
we
saying to
certainly
keep
need
it
to
more
respond to
current.
their questions. Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah. Well, let's try to do that if we possibly can. So I'll throw
mhm.
it back to both you and me and see what, you know, you guys got the hectic schedule, especially you, Doc. So
Yeah.
anyhow, we can do that. What was the fourth topic? We talked about the
Um,
election. We talked
yeah,
about
and
Trump.
that's leading into the election of being prepared. I think you mentioned things about having your backup original birth certificate,
Oh,
passports,
yes.
ID, knowing that you
Yeah.
registered by going to the website, re-verifying. Yes, because they
Well,
out to get us if that big bill change, Save America bill change, right?
can you explain to the audience about this big bill that Trump wants to
Well,
try
as
to
far as
pass?
I'm hearing into my understanding, it's going to really put an emphasis on having ID and being registered to vote. And if you don't have particular names that match the registration list, you won't be allowed to vote. Now, I think they said something about a federal affirm list, and I was questioning that earlier with you. I'm like, what is that? How did they got everybody's federal name on a list to vote?
No,
How is
and
that even possible? But at the
I don't,
same time, from my understanding, it's all state ran anyway. The state is required and obligated to set up their rules for their state and how they vote.
yeah,
So,
elections are run by the states, not the feds.
right. So I don't know how this Save America bill is going to overshadow the state regulations that are in place. And that's all the more reason to educate, go into your local Congress or websites, indy.gov, and look up those current, what's in law now, what's in place now, in order to prepare, I think. Because you might go up there and your name not on this list, or you're not registered, or your birth name or your married name is not listed on the driver's license that's on your birth certificate. So, and it takes time. So this is the time to really start thinking about those things instead of being surprised when we are wanting to come up for election.
Well, I
Mhm.
personally, I don't think he's going to get that done. And so hopefully Congress will not allow that. He's just doing it to keep him and the Republican Party in office because, you know, that's their game plan. Anything that they possibly can to cheat, and that's what they're
Mhm.
trying to do will be an issue. Besides,
Well,
like
they
we
could,
said, the
like I said, they could
elections are
cheat,
run by
but
the
we do the
state.
right stuff. We can still do it the right way. Be prepared and have the plan B, plan C in place. Yeah.
Yeah, because they talk, you know, they talk about, oh, you got to have your driver's license, then you also got a birth certificate. Well, okay, and then your passport. Come on, most individuals, most people don't even have passports. Okay,
No.
and your birth certificate, like I said, if you're, especially if you're a lady, your birth certificate will have the name that you were born under. But if you've been married, you know, once, twice, three times a lady, then you know, hey, uh, what are you going to do? So that
Right.
it doesn't make sense. But you know, most of the things.
Suppression of the female vote,
Well,
unfortunately. That's
yeah,
what it's trying
and
to
I think it's women that vote
do.
more so than men. So you know, I don't know.
Mhm,
I'm just it
mhm,
makes no sense to me at this
mhm,
particular state of the game. So, but anyhow, but
mhm.
see, these are things that you
So
got to be on alert about. So,
be on alert, educate, research, and just because it's again, I mentioned this in our meeting, Republican or Democrat, just don't go for the D. Just see exactly what you're voting for and who you're voting for and the why with the aligned values. So this is the time to really look up people's voting records, look up different places in which it can make a difference. Yes, you want somebody out, but if you're not really educated on what we're voting in, then it's going to probably be back into the same scenario, if not worse, because you have this democracy, which is good, whether, we voted in somebody who's not, what I say, competent to do the job, we can
Mhm.
still control it on ourselves and educate and ask questions. And I think it goes back to zooming in, contacting us, writing in comments. We can try to focus on guests that can relay even beyond our competencies, be well-rounded, research. That's one thing
Yeah.
I do, Ricky.
Yeah, you do a lot of research, so we appreciate
I
that.
said,
You
let
do
me get
do
back on you
research.
that.
That's what you do.
And if I
That's
don't
what
know,
you
I'll
do.
say I don't know. But for the
Right.
most part, I try to know what I know from my understanding and perspective. But that's the way the world works. We should all have the right and the freedom to be who we are from our own perspective. But
Exactly.
do no harm to self or others. And that's where everybody can cross the line, I believe,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Then our next topic affects everybody once again. Here we are with the gas issue because of the war that Donald Trump started. We know gas prices are going sky high. And if you've been to the grocery store, as I've said before, if you paid, say, maybe you spent 150 bucks for groceries a month ago, you're going to pay close to $200 for those same groceries now because of the prices going up, because of the gas. I mean, the food and products and everything has to be trucked in most cases. And so, even though in the state of Indiana, the governor has suspended the sales tax,
30 days, right?
yeah, 30 days, that which is what, 70% or 17 cents, something along that line. But there's another tax that this state charges that he kept that's a higher tax, and I can't recall what it is. But, Trump started this war overseas in the Middle East, and it doesn't appear that it's going to get any better. It's going to
Mhm.
continue to be worse. Um, and there are some economists that are saying, this is leading straight down the line for another depression. And we've already had one
Mhm.
Great Depression, back in the 20s and 30s. So but he didn't think, as my mother used to say, fat meat is greasy. So therefore, he, we got to do something about what's going on with
Mhm.
the economy because he's not paying any attention.
Right,
You know,
right.
he's just not. And what the polls are showing that his approval rating is continues to go downward, well into the tank.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
but he doesn't appear to, oh, the other thing too, he fired Pam Bondi. Of course, this is old news to a lot of Pam
Oh,
Bondi. If you don't know who she
right.
was the Attorney General. Uh,
Mhm.
so he's now fired two cabinet members. Pam
Mhm.
Bondi being the Attorney General should no longer, and the first one he was over Homeland Security. I don't know,
Security.
forgot
Yeah. No.
what was her name.
Yeah, I forgot his name. It was a
Her name.
guy, wasn't it?
No, it was a girl. It was a lady.
Oh,
Uh,
see, that is old.
yeah, it's old news. You guys
I
know who we're
forgot
talking about.
that.
So he's
Yeah.
fired two cabinet members. Both of them were women. Um, and I can't think of her name. And that was top of mind during this past year because she was over Homeland Security and all the
Mhm.
ugly things they were doing, killing citizens, American citizens, and putting
Oh,
folks. Yeah,
no.
is it? Yeah, Nome, um,
The yeah.
Homeland
Yes.
Security, and over. Um,
Yeah. Her husband got the big
yeah,
had the inflatable. Okay.
and she was supposed to be dating her
Okay. Yeah.
chief of staff
No.
and all kind. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Her. Okay.
So, so and now
Okay.
Bondi's gone, and
Oh, that's right. She's gone. Bondi's gone. And then she even said her secretary was doing a bad job. So I'm wondering how long she's gonna be on.
is that the guy first name Corey or
No, this press secretary,
his
Caroline
the
Levitt.
president's press secretary,
Yeah, she said that
Carolyn
she was
Levitt.
doing that she was doing a bad job, terrible job. Don't you think you're
I
doing
don't see
a
where
good, bad job? I'm like, wow. So she
she
may be
takes up
out.
for him all the time.
Yeah,
I
but
guess
he said it's too much bad press. So
she can't control that because folks, he's doing all that. He's fueling
that's what
that
I'm saying.
fire.
Cause she say she probably like, let me do my job.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, well,
Yeah.
we're going into the
Christian Gnome. Is
summer.
it
Oh,
Christian Gnome? That was the
yeah, Christian
DHS.
Holmes. Christian, yeah, that's
Yeah.
over Homeland
Yeah.
Security and over a few other things.
Pam Bondi. Mhm.
So both of them have
Yeah.
been gone in a 3-month period. He may be on a
Mhm.
roll right now. So
Mhm.
if he doesn't like
Mhm.
what they're doing or like what they're saying, because Chrissy Nome wanted to
Yeah.
buy that airplane had more bells and whistles than the doggone president's plane did.
Exactly. Yeah, he probably was mad about that.
Yeah, he didn't like that at all. He did not like that at
Mhm.
all. So, but like I said, Washington and local and politics and everything going on gives us a lot of ammunition to talk about and let our audience, know what's happening. So you will be well
Mhm.
versed and know what's happening, well received.
Yeah.
That
And I always say too that self-care, don't let this depress you. I know it's depressing, it's confusing. Be sure to turn off the media sometime if it's too much and you don't want to hear it. Treat yourself, ice cream cone, walk, take drinking water, resting, educating, that those are ways to actually try to enhance your well-being. Because I always say too, I know it's good in the world because I put out good.
yeah,
I
exactly.
put out good. So I can't say the world is a terrible place because I do good and I make sure the people are good and what we're doing is good by giving them that voice through Diversity Focus today.
Okay.
I think that's a positive thing.
Well, I think we've got about maybe a minute or so.
Mhm.
We
So
want to.
what's to come?
What's the? Oh
And
well,
that's new from,
we're
yeah.
gonna get the guest on about the Johnsons, both past
Hmm.
Johnsons, and talk about Martin University being saved.
Hmm.
Certainly elections coming.
Yeah, trying to educate more about that process and what to do. I think that'll
Yeah,
be good for our viewers and hearing their voices. Be
hearing
sure
their
to
voices.
reach out to us and want to be on the show. We will or send in a clip. I think you mentioned that, Ricky. That, hey, you got a little 2 minute or 30-second clip to speak a voice for a
Oh yeah,
topic or to have a response. That would be, I think, helpful and better for us as well.
yeah. So just email us at hiphopchatter@yahoo.com. That's hiphopchatter@yahoo.com for any comments, videos, or whatever for Diversity Focus Today. You can catch us on YouTube, Diversity Focus Today with Ricky.
Hmm.
Facebook, Diversity Focus Today.
Hmm.
And so we want to know what you think and what you want to talk about because we want to include you in the conversation.
Yes, yes. And
So,
is your slogan of the year, or is it a different slogan of the year?
oh,
Black.
they love me saying, and remember, it takes both black and white keys of a piano to play the Star Spangled Banner. So, with that thought in mind, yours truly, Ricky Clark, along with Dr. Tammy Harris and our
Goodbye.
engineer producer, Brian Wallace, we want to bid you a farewell. Thanks for
Bye
listening and
bye.
thanks for watching. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks for watching Diversity Focus Today with your host, Ricky Solid Gold Clark. Like, share, and subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook at Diversity Focus Today.